Hey, hello everybody. I don't know. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a fantastic day. Leaving a like, a comment, or subscribing helps out the channel immensely. Very big thank you to everyone who has watched or has supported the other channel, Money Rules. It is very much appreciated. And without further ado, let's jump right into this. So once again, we're going to work backwards and then forwards as to what happened and where we currently are now. I am going to try my best not to rant. I know people like the rants, but understand this is very stressful for my body. Simply because so many things have been happening. It's been only 5 days, and it is, at least in my view, abundantly clear what has been happening. But alas, here we go. For those of you not looking at the screen, and apparently that's a huge amount of people, it says crypto exchange Binance is set to acquire competitor FTX in a duel, for digital asset market. So the news that we got yesterday was that, no, even 2 days ago, was that allegedly FTX was insolvent and they were running out of money and yada, yada, yada. And then we got news yesterday that apparently someone found the receipts and FTX was actually insolvent and they were going down. The news was that Sam Bankman-Fried, the guy who ran FTX, allegedly went to the CEO of Binance, Changpeng Zhao, to tell him, hey, bro, we don't got no money. Can you please help us out? And then the news that we got from Changpeng Zhao on Twitter was that Sam Bankman-Fried had contacted him and he was working on a way to be able to acquire the FTX cryptocurrency exchange in, I don't know. I'm not really sure exactly what was supposed to have happened. And then no more than like 10 hours later, right, as I had called it as well, because I feel like a lot of this, once again, this is my view. This is the TMI channel. This is the TMI viewpoint. I feel like nearly all of this was completely orchestrated. Binance then announced that they were looking at the balance sheet and they were highly unlikely to actually go through with the deal to acquire FTX, which allegedly was insolvent. And then like an hour and a half later, they were like, oh no, nope, not at all. We're not going to be going through with this. Done deal. Sorry, can't help the cryptocurrency space. So I've been talking with a number of people on Twitter. If at any point I left a tweet on Twitter and you responded back to it and my tone was a little heavy, I apologize. I tell my friends quite often that sometimes the cryptocurrency space can like, the terms not set me off, but like when I'll say it this way, when I realize that BS is happening, it kind of makes me very annoyed. You know, I love logic. I love to see actual things taking place based off of what other things have taken place. And this entire scenario is very fishy. It smells. It's like a fish market to me. Something's not right in the air through all of it. A lot of the discussions that have been going on right now, for those of you not looking at the screen, it says it's a check and mate. Did Binance orchestrate the whole FTX downfall? Once again, I'm going to try to remain calm, but still give you my thoughts on the matter. I've been in crypto for a very long time, and I started the channel, I think around the end of 2016. Before that, I was into crypto for about a good year or two. I wasn't heavily accumulating like I should have, but I was always on the sidelines looking at what happened. By the time I started the channel and began to do essentially daily news, I absorb every bit of news in the cryptocurrency space. I have seen multiple other exchanges fall, exchanges that were more popular than FTX. I've seen entire protocols fall. I've seen entire DeFi platforms fall. I've seen so many other things collapse in this space that were holding billions and billions and billions of dollars, which could be equated to the amount of money essentially that FTX had or was holding. And I have yet to see something as dramatic as this. My idea for the entire thing, I'm going to try and, progress it forward. This is why I said I apologize if my tone was a bit heavy on Twitter the last 2 days if I responded back to anyone. This could have all been handled internally. All of it. The news that we had on Sunday from Changpeng Zhao, the CEO of Binance, was we don't want another Luna thing happening. We are selling off all of our FTT tokens right now. Something's not good. Liquidity crunch. Things are collapsing. And then he ended that tweet, or had another tweet minutes after. I think it was the same exact tweet, saying we will no longer be supporting who vote against the industry or something like that. For those of you who missed that tidbit of news, we had news that allegedly a lot of people within the cryptocurrency space had been lobbying and or paying people in the US political sphere for better cryptocurrency regulations. Who they gave money to, I don't know, and I don't really care. I don't live in the US. The other part is that allegedly Sam Bankman had, I think, 80% of his allocation of money had actually gone to a number of Democrats, which usually, anyway, the point is, without even getting into any of that, and that's when we got that news from Changpeng Zhao that he said we will no longer be supporting anyone in the cryptocurrency space who rallies against us, or who, I don't know what term he actually used. It doesn't really matter. One, that's personal business. No one was asking for that information. Two, we've had a number of protocols and exchanges and companies in the cryptocurrency space. This is not the first time. Do you all remember BitMEX and many other places like essentially going offline and or going bankrupt? Has anyone forgotten about Poloniex? That was also a very popular cryptocurrency exchange. The issue is that all went on the scenes, behind the scenes, where none of us could actually see it. There were usually tons of internal discussions because people realized that if you made all of this stuff public, it was going to crash the cryptocurrency market. So what typically happened was, a lot of times, this is the usual scenario, is that you would see that a cryptocurrency exchange has gone offline, or rather people are unable to withdraw their money. It causes a light amount of panic, nothing usually too crazy. About a day or two later, we actually get news that another cryptocurrency exchange knew of their problems and they acquired said exchange, and therefore exchanges were reopened back up. Everyone panicked, took their money off of the exchange. We heard that the other cryptocurrency exchange was actually going bankrupt. Crypto exchange A acquired crypto exchange B. Market prices went down by maybe 2 or 3%, especially in the old days, because people were really stupid and people thought that the crypto exchanges were actually Bitcoin. I know we've come a very long way. I know someone just chuckled, but that's how it actually was. If there was ever a cryptocurrency exchange that had a problem, or you couldn't withdraw money, people thought that you could not withdraw Bitcoin from the actual blockchain. How far we've come after all this time. If the people from Binance allegedly knew, or they told us yesterday that they had internal documents that they had received that apparently FTX was insolvent or FTX wasn't doing too well, once again, that could have all been handled internally. We could have simply heard, hey, there's something going on where we might be acquiring another cryptocurrency exchange. But no, this was made extremely public. And I'm not sure if you pay attention to what Changpeng Zhao has been tweeting the last couple of half of a day. He's also turning off comments on everything that he posts because people are biting back. They're, saying stuff back to him. They're like, why did you do all of this? It appears to me as if this was all coordinated in some sort of way. A lot of people are calling it a power play. A lot of people are standing on the side of Changpeng Zhao because people like to stand on the side of the anti-hero or whoever he might be in the fashion of, well, yeah, he has enough money to be able to bring down another cryptocurrency exchange and to show that his exchange has more power, and basically, in no uncertain terms, do not F with him. But the problem is that this has caused a catastrophe for the entire cryptocurrency space. Other coins that weren't even part of this, or even more so, let's be logical here, Bitcoin. Bitcoin still runs. Bitcoin still moves. Bitcoin is still a cryptocurrency that works. Why did Bitcoin nearly collapse? Oh, wait till you see some of the price news that we have, because I'm sure that's going to put a gigantic smile on all of your faces. Why did Ethereum collapse? Why did many other coins that had no direct exposure to or were not held in bulk by FTX actually move down? Who cares if a cryptocurrency exchange is holding huge amounts of Bitcoin that they actually still have on the reserves? Why would the coin's price then collapse? A lot of this, I understand that it's fear. I understand that people are throwing around the word contagion quite easily these days, despite what we went through over the last 2.5 years. But alas, it says a failed FTX Binance deal is catastrophic for the crypto sector. An enormous amount of large institutional funds have basically been announcing the last 24 hours they no longer want to get into crypto. Is anyone surprised? A cryptocurrency exchange announced that they might not have enough money to handle all the withdrawals or all the other coins that they had been creating apparently out of thin air. A lot of coins collapsed by like 40 to 60%. Is anyone surprised that no one wants to get into a highly volatile market like the crypto? This could have all been happened internally. This could have been done behind the scenes. We would have gotten news either yesterday evening or this morning that FTX is actually, something's wrong with it. Something's not happening. Prices would have fallen by around 5 or 6%, except we heard from the look through their tweets. It's not just Changpeng Zhao. It's a whole bunch of other people who began to announce as well, not your coins, not your crypto. This is going to be catastrophic. Another lunar so-and-so. If you haven't observed, telling people to remove their coins from all cryptocurrency exchanges, that Coinbase was going to collapse and watch out for Kraken. And this was also going to happen. This is why we heard yesterday so many crypto exchanges were like, no, we had no exposure to FTX because everyone's panicking over something that isn't really that gigantic. If we had heard that Binance had collapsed, I get it. It's the largest crypto exchange on the planet. Where's everybody's money? If we heard that Coinbase was going insolvent, all right, everyone put your hats on because something's about to get really difficult. And I dare even say Kraken in that same exact sentence. FTX was not larger than Kraken. Kraken's a major cryptocurrency exchange. Why all this panic? And listen. All this panic came from one person, one account. It spread through everyone else who was trying to ride on the back of or the coattails of Changpeng Zhao to basically say, oh yeah, dude, you got to watch out. And they're also responsible for the cryptocurrency market crashing the way that it did. And also essentially billions of dollars no longer wanting to enter into the market until maybe by the time we get to next spring, if we're lucky enough that the Fed is no longer raising interest rates anymore. Like I said, trying not to rant, I could have gone a lot deeper because this is a very particular situation for me. This has only happened a number of other times where we've seen something this, I'll use the word catastrophic for this event. The last time that it was this bad, that it was actually caused internally, was through the creation of Bitcoin Cash, Satoshi's vision. That was the not Bitcoin Cash where the market was a little rumbled. No one really cared. I told you all the coin was crap years ago. Hat nod, tip to you if you actually paid attention. If you look at the charts from when Bitcoin Cash Satoshi Vision was actually created, this caused so much confusion in the market because there was a person who created the coin who was telling other people that he was Satoshi Nakamoto. Guess what? He wasn't. And part of the problem was that was as Bitcoin was already falling down in price, a similar way that we've been falling down in price over the course of this year. Bitcoin's price was roughly around 6,500 or something like that. And people were saying, okay, this is clearly the bottom. You can look at the charts. It looked like we were at the bottom of the price. Someone came out of nowhere talking about he was Satoshi. He was creating his own new coin. He released the coin in that same exact hour. Bitcoin fell by a half. It fell down to like 3,200 something or other dollars, and the rest of the market also completely collapsed as well. And it took us around roughly a year and a half, 2 years to be able to recover from that. None of this should have been this bad. We've seen these collapses before. We've seen insolvency multiple times within the cryptocurrency space. And even more so, the number that's being thrown around for FTX's insolvency or how much money they need. Now, once again, you know, we get desensitized to numbers like this in the cryptocurrency space. It's anywhere between $6 to $8 billion. That in the real world is a lot of money. That in the cryptocurrency space is absolutely nothing. There are coins that no one's using that have valuations between $4 to $8 billion. That could have been swept up very easily through other acquisitions by a number of other companies. Why was this publicized so heavy by the largest people in the cryptocurrency space? I really do believe that this was done not only as a power play, but also to crash prices even more. The amount of people, who were talking on Twitter about like, oh, now we've capitulated. Now prices can go back up. They were going up already. We were doing just fine. As long as the stock market recovered, we were also moving up with it. We had to fall by another 50-60% across multiple coins. No, that was people trying to acquire for them and their friends. So anyway, on top of that as well, for those of you who didn't get the hint, it says Bitcoin drops to $16,000, reaching a brand new 2-year low. That's absolute. Oh wait. Oh no. What's this one? Yeah, Bitcoin plunges to $15,700 as Binance rejects FTX takeover. Levels to watch. I mean, any level at this point. JP Morgan announced, oh my gosh, I can't believe what's happening in the cryptocurrency market. They're predicting that Bitcoin might crash to $13,000 due to a cascade of margin calls. And if that one didn't put a smile on your face, Peter Brandt says we are in the 5th worst decline in the cryptocurrency space and Bitcoin might be heading down to $10,000. I repeat one more time. All of this could have been done internally. This could have all happened behind the scenes. They could have had having a conversation that your cryptocurrency exchange is about to collapse or you don't have enough money or we're looking to purchase this cryptocurrency exchange, which could cause another Terra Luna-like event. Why did you not do that over the phone? Why did you do that publicly on Twitter? You had to let everyone know how just amazingly catastrophic things could be. If you've been here before, you've seen these events. We hear that something might be wrong. Someone ends up buying another exchange, and then 2 weeks later, we hear that a crisis was averted because X company purchased X company behind the scenes. Guess what? Things could have been bad, but you can still take your money off of the exchange. The traditional financial news space the last 2 days has been having a field day talking about crypto. How terrible it is, how much it's falling, how bad this is for the industry, how many big players have taken their money out of the space, how many more will be doing so in the coming days as they fear that prices will continue to drop. In case that wasn't enough good for you, people who are mining Bitcoin could be the next trigger for a Bitcoin price crash. Can anyone tell me why? Anyone in the class? Any single person? We went over this about 2 weeks ago. Literally 2 weeks ago. Anybody in the class? Anybody over there? Nope. No one? All right. Well, the news is, historically, alwaysly, you can tell how much it costs to create a Bitcoin. You can see the metrics. It costs this company $12,000 per month to be able to mine a Bitcoin. If Bitcoin's price is $21,000, which is just where we were a couple of days ago, don't forget that one. But you can mathematically see that Bitcoin's price to mine one is $12,000. You go, cool, we are making a $9,000 profit. Let's keep it going. What happens when it costs a company, because the prices range, it costs a company $12,000, $13,000, $14,000 to be able to make a Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's price falls down to $13,000. Anyone in the class? Yeah, they turn off their machines because it's no longer profitable. And when they're not making the money that they should have been making, they begin to sell off their Bitcoin. These are the people who are creating Bitcoin that hits the market. What happens when the prices are low and nobody's buying and it's unprofitable for them to be able to mine Bitcoin and they sell off their Bitcoin into the market? Yeah, exactly. Prices begin to collapse even further. All of this could have been handled internally. We should roughly be around a 19,000 something or other Bitcoin. Ethereum was near $1,700 a couple of days ago. It's like it's teetering around the $1,000, $1,100 range. So that's also major news. We'll be seeing in the next I give it 4 or 5 days, if prices continue to collapse. We will also see people turning off their machines and selling their Bitcoin. And then, yeah, Bitcoin's price will also go lower. The rest of the cryptocurrency market will go lower and everyone will go, I mean, I don't understand how this happened. Thank goodness that I wasn't into FTX, though. If you don't understand how this is, I mean, it's absolutely nonsensical what's happening right now. FTX, the website, is allegedly back online. Alameda and FTX Ventures are shut down or not working. The news that I've seen floating around is allegedly that FTX is back online and they're working on situations to make sure that people can take their money out. They have told everyone, do not deposit any money here. However, we are working on withdrawals. I do not know if that is going to happen. I do not work for FTX. I am simply the messenger giving you the information from things that I have found online. But this website is back up. Also in the news, a lot of companies have continued to come forward, either announcing that they had zero exposure to FTX or any exposure that they did have, that they are currently selling off as rapidly as they can. Sequoia Capital has dropped its FTX holding to $0 following the liquidity crunch. I don't have the names or the other tabs. I have a lot of tabs up here already of the other companies who are doing so, but there are a lot of companies who are all announcing, oh yeah, we had a $45 million exposure to them. We dropped it immediately and so and so and so because nobody else wants to see their stock price or their company go down or be questioned because of any exposure that they had to FTX. In the majorest news story of the day, Solana has fallen out of the top 10 crypto. Oh my gosh, it should have never been there in the first place. I had, and I'll have the same discussion with all of you. Solana is probably one of the most popular centralized coins that we've had. 1, 2, 3. I was waiting 3 seconds because I know that someone was screaming behind the scenes or flipped their keyboard or flipped their phone. I don't know where you're listening to this right now. And why is it centralized? Because you can't restart a blockchain. Ta-da! Did everyone forget about that? Yeah, you should have. Solana went offline, I think, 8 times this year. And every single time we heard from the team that they were going to restart the blockchain. You cannot restart a blockchain. You can restart a system or a computer. Anyway, the news is, yes, Solana keeps falling because everyone's figuring out exactly how much exposure FTX actually had to Solana. They apparently owned a huge amount of Solana, and apparently behind the scenes, they were also in many other venture capitalist things that also had huge amounts of Solana, and their hands were in every single cookie jar. So as people figure out exactly how much exposure they had to Solana, and that allegedly also, the news that we got yesterday was that apparently the companies who had exposure to FTX or were FTX or were parent companies of FTX are trying to sell off as much Solana as they possibly can to be able to keep their coins afloat. Yeah, also, that was really popular news. DeFi exchange platform DYDX, I don't know what that's supposed to even spell, set Solana to close only mode. They have announced do not deposit, do not trade any Solana here. We are only allowing you to close your current trade and execute and finish how much money you were trying to make, and then stop doing everything else with Solana on the platform. So, that's the Solana news. Like, there's actually like a little bit more, but I'm going easy on everyone out there. I tried telling everyone for a very long time, and this was even before the FTX Sam Bankman holds a lot of Solana thing. You can't restart a blockchain. It's not a real blockchain. Also, and even if that doesn't tickle your fancy, they've had 10 problems this year. They've had multiple 51% attacks. Heaven forbid if XRP had 1, and I mean a 49.9% attack, people would not stop talking about it. If Ethereum had a 50% attack, people would have completely lost their minds talking about how centralized and how insane and how terrible this coin is. Why do people keep loving coins that are clearly garbage? Remember years ago with Tron, and I told everyone, I was like, hey, this coin is clearly garbage. Also in the news, if you want some happy news, and no one really knows why this is happening, Terra Luna Classic is up by 7%. It's, I think, the only coin besides, like when you look at charts and like it shows like every coin is in red, and then stable coins are green because like they've gone up by like 0.005% because people are buying them because the market is crashing. For some reason, Terra Luna Classic is going up, and this was also very popular news. There's no concrete news as to why. I'm going to hope and pray that it doesn't have to do with, for those of you who missed that yesterday, Do Kwon, basically the guy who created Terra Luna, came out of the woodworks and was talking about that he wants to have a partnership between Terra Luna and Terra Luna Classic. And I mean, pray for yourselves if that's the reason why you've been buying this coin, because if you didn't learn from what happened at the beginning of this year, I don't think anything can actually help you at this point. Also tying into that, the S&P 500 is falling, and I think stock futures are up by like a little tiny bit, but basically everyone's a little terrified right now because I don't know. People are still waiting for the election results. B, apparently a whole bunch of inflation data is supposed to be coming out today. And in something that like completely surprised me, a large part of traditional news today were people talking about that. If for those of you not looking, it says the stock market is at risk as Bitcoin collapses. That was a huge portion of the traditional news today, talking about like Bitcoin. I mean, they were all talking about Bitcoin falling, but them even hinting that there was like a correlation between Bitcoin falling and stocks falling. I was like, okay, that seems a little weird. So yeah, the stock market's down, the cryptocurrency market's down, the barometric pressure is down. I don't know what that is, but it just sounds like it should also be down at the moment. Apparently, Binance is no longer acquiring FTX, even though they publicly announced that they were going to be doing so, which actually moved the market up a little bit. And now we're all going down together. Very, very fun. That's that was just the price news. Oh boy, yeah. Let's move on. In the most popular not price news story, OpenSea, the largest NFT marketplace by trading volume, announced that it will be continuing royalties on their NFTs following significant pushback from the community. Very big thank you. I mentioned this on Twitter. I did not get a chance to mention it here. Someone bought out my entire collection of NFTs yesterday that I make and sell NFTs. Someone bought all of them yesterday. I don't know who you are, but I'm giving you a gigantic digital hug. You can't see me, but my arms are actually in the form of hugging someone because I was taken aback. Thank you very, very much. B, for those of you who don't sell or buy NFTs as often, they have like a royalty thing attached to them. It's the same exact thing for Vivi. If you are buying an NFT from a creator or even from like Marvel or something like that, they tend to have like a thing where like you get a royalty from the resale of that piece of work. Why do they do that? Well, if you've ever watched a documentary on NFTs and on art, there was one that I think I shared a year ago on Twitter or something like that, where this guy was basically saying years ago, he became an artist about 10, 15 years ago. People began to like his work. He sold a painting, I think it was for $300 or $400. He found out that it ended up going to a gallery and then resold for $10,000. And he was like, whoa, my artwork sold for $10,000. He said about 2 or 3 years later, he became a little bit more popular. He's selling his pieces for maybe like $1,000, $2,000 at this point. That same exact piece ended up going to a what do you call it? Like an auction house. And then it resold for $35,000. And the point being is he sat there and was like, yeah, you know, I'm really happy that people like my stuff, but I realized at some point that painting might sell for 6 figures and I'm receiving none of that. A lot of people don't know that a lot of world famous artists actually died poor. Like, I mean, poor, not like, you know, like, oh no, he only has 3 houses. What is he going to do? I mean, like, no, like they were like destitute. They had no money at the very end of it. I mean, it was poor spending choices, but also like the idea is for the NFT space is that people who create NFTs can continue to get a royalty from it. Like I have a 2.5% royalty on my NFT. It's lower than the industry trend because I don't want to have, you know, that much whatever, but it's also a very big thing. The idea is that if you created something and it resells in 35 years, you originally created it and therefore you get a tiny little cut of what ends up being resold. For some reason, OpenSea thought that they would stop this policy, or they thought that people didn't want it. And lo and behold, they got about like 900,000 messages and people, I don't want to say the word screaming at them, writing to them in caps lock, basically being like, what are you doing? They said, we will continue to enforce creator fees on all existing conditions. The firm wrote in a Twitter thread. We're awed by the passion we've seen from creators and collectors alike this week. We're looking for your feedback, and we heard it loud and clear. Yeah, if I'm buying something from an artist who I like I do it because I'm like, oh, they'll also get a kickback from this as well. On Saturday, OpenSea said it was reconsidering its policy towards enforcing creator royalty fees on NFTs. They were the only crypto exchange, by the way, doing that. Rarible is also like, why would you be stopping that? Following a wave of rival marketplaces that had either rejected such fees or made them optional for traders to pay. No one's using those. It's basically, there's like 3 main NFT platforms besides VV, like that are actually, no one's really even using the other places. A royalty fee is set by the NFT artist or creator and typically falls between 5 and 10%. I've seen some royalty fees of like 20%. I'm like, ugh, on the secondary sale price. So this was very big news. A lot of people are very happy. This should have never been a discussion. There should have never been, we're going to take away money from the actual creators of the art. That's one of the main focuses of NFTs, is that we in the future, the now, will be able to continue to pay artists for their work as they are artists. I don't understand why this was ever a topic of discussion. This was super popular. Everyone's talking about it. A lot of people are celebrating online. There should have never been an actual discussion of this. There should have never been a discussion of. Anyway, that's the OpenSea news, because, you know, maybe they just wanted to make the news. I'm not really sure what was going on there. All right. Moving along. Also, I'm going to breeze over this one. We heard about this yesterday, and now it seems to be a thing news. So since the collapse of FTX, the SEC and another regulatory body have basically come forward. I think it's the Department of Justice. I'm not sure. There's another big name one who announced that they're going to be probing the cryptocurrency space to make sure that nothing like this ever happens again. And it's like, whoa, that's crazy. Imagine if you just actually freaking gave us regulation 7 years ago. Without a doubt, none of this would have ever actually taken place. And now a number of higher ups in the cryptocurrency space are also calling for more cryptocurrency regulations. And it's like, the regulators don't actually care about us or about the industry. It's them waiting for things to collapse so that they can come running in and say, I'm regulating. And then they get people in trouble and people have to pay hundreds of millions of dollars. Because pay attention to this part. Even after regulators step in and, you know, go on stage and talk about how terrible FTX was and how this should never happen again, the US is still not going to get regulations. Think about that part. So anyway, this was also lightly popular news. Everyone's talking about it. A lot of people aren't too happy because, once again, this could have been handled internally within the cryptocurrency space. Markets didn't have to crash, and we would have had no need for regulators to be like, okay, now we're going to probe the entirety of the space. Because if you remember what the SEC does, they go after a project, they announce that they're going to look into them, and then that project collapses. So, you know, fun times ahead. Thank you very much, Tong Peng Sao. Also in the news, this is news, but it's not really news. It's significant, but also we've heard of this before. For those of you not looking at the screen, it says the U.S. government owns more than 1% of the total Bitcoin supply. Then it says, will they dump it? Maybe, probably not. For those of you who have not been here for a very long time, years ago, when we had things like Silk Road and other things like that, basically behind the scenes, you know, dark net markets, if you want to give them that name, that was the first time that the U.S. really began to swoop in and talk about that they're trying to protect people, but they weren't. It was just about money. They realized that Bitcoin was actually worth something, and Bitcoin was a, dare I say, competitor to the US dollar, and that people were selling things online that they allegedly did not want them to sell, but now people can now sell legally across the United States. And then they went to these websites, found where they were centralized as websites, and they began to take the money that was off of them, and all that money was in Bitcoin. And throughout the course of the last couple of 7, 8, 9 years, the US government has steadily found other websites or similar places, and they take the actual cryptocurrency from there. Remember I said before, years ago, and I've been saying it over and over, I'm like, hey, all these countries actually own Bitcoin. It's just a matter of how they got it. Some of them are mining it. We heard from the country allegedly that is above South Korea. Oh my gosh, I just watched the video the other day and someone was like, what country is above South Korea? And they were like, Tokyo. And it just didn't, my brain couldn't compute all of it. The country that's above South Korea apparently has also been stealing a number of cryptocurrencies and mainly Bitcoin over the last couple of years as well. So the news is that every single time that something fraudulent or illicit ends up taking place, the US, the world's police, ends up swooping in first and they actually take that Bitcoin for themselves. It's just now that they've accumulated so many Bitcoin that people are now talking about it once again. The US government now holds, hear this, do not forget these words. The US government now holds more than 214,000 Bitcoin, making up over 1% of the total capped Bitcoin supply. The new milestone was reached after a government announcement on Monday saying that they had seized an additional 50,000 Bitcoin associated with the Silk Road. So you sit there and think a lot of times I'm just nonsensing or I'm blowing hot air or whatever the term actually ends up being when I'm like, hey, the US also owns a huge amount of Bitcoin and they're also probably the largest, maybe, Bitcoin holder in the world. If you think about it, it makes total sense. If the US is realizing that Bitcoin will get bigger or will continue rising in price, wouldn't you also be accumulating tons of Bitcoin? And I know this news is shocking a whole lot. Like, people are clutching their pearls right now at the news that the US definitely holds 214,000 Bitcoin. And that's just what we know of. That's the Bitcoin that's been accumulated from them, like, going to different websites and taking the Bitcoin off of there. Do you think that they're also maybe mining Bitcoin? Because I do. I'm pretty sure that they are as well. Do you think that there's Bitcoin gotten from other places? Maybe there's like an extra fund of a couple $1 million at the end of a year that's being used to buy more Bitcoin? Because I do. Do you think the largest or current most powerful government on the planet is only accumulating Bitcoin in this way? I don't. Anyway, this was major news, and usually a lot of times, it's kind of whatever. So take the news how you will. A lot of people will forget this in a couple of weeks because I've seen way too many people being like, well, no one actually owns Bitcoin. It's mainly just random people and like rich guys who own it. And it's like, okay, sure. So you now have official news that the US government holds more than 1% of all Bitcoin out there. Will they dump it? Probably not. That's not how money usually works. Especially if they get indications. Like, do you think that the U.S. government is not talking with the banks about, hey, how high could this actually go? Imagine holding 1% of the new world currency. Imagine if Bitcoin goes to $1 million in 13, 14 years. How much richer will the U.S. government be? Yeah, people don't think about these things. Anyway, that's the U.S. government news. You weren't expecting that one. Neither was I. I forgot the tab was there. And without further ado, let's move on. Yeah, I do hope that you've all enjoyed. Actually, wait, that's wrong. Hey, wait, what is it? A very big thank you, there we go, to my Patreon supporters. Ooh, some of the coins are back in green. Martin Steuer, Bodie McBoatface, Dotha Diddy, Manny Cryptos, Crypto Gambino, Auspicious Agile and Blockchain, Jamie Saad, and let's move on. Empire Queen, Roman Geba, Bitcoin Ben Arachno, Dave the Dealer, Zen Captain Something, and the Z-Way, Lay Mobarazi, VB Nerd 21, Lauren De Silva, Quoted Biddy, Troy Allgood, Space Case, Need a Miracle, Pattern, Noster, Navarro Williams, Utopia 569, Moonman High, XRP, Nostromo, John Sarson, The Animal Reader, Bibliophobia, Adam, Graysig, Wise9, Owl, 242 to the World, Bankroll Network, Crypto Artist, Coldy 3D, Setsuna, Paxis, Nick Mangialavori, Jim Garner, Jamie Fox, Minting Coins, Yes to Crypto, Anytime Fitness, Monks, Corner Staff, Bake Me a Cake, Tigger Ramacho, Nisa, and On Crypto with Lionel. Thank you all very, very much for your... I was trying to figure out if I should say thank you in another language, but it didn't work. My brain just didn't get there. Thank you all very, very much for your continued support. Thank you to everyone who is a member of the channel. Thank you to everyone who has left a like, a comment, or has subscribed. At the moment, Bitcoin, look at that, is at $16,500. Wow, we went up by a couple $100. It's down by 5%. Ether is up by 1.7%. It is currently at $1,187. We were just at $1,700. Remember when everyone was like, oh, we're definitely going to $2,000? Thanks a lot. Binance coin is down by 5%. I'm shocked. I assumed this coin would be up by 1,000% since everybody was licking his boots a couple of days ago. Dogecoin is up by 1%. Matic is up by 1.96 percentile points as well. Don't forget the Disney and JP Morgan Chase and Instagram and Facebook actually using Polygon for their blockchain news. See, like, this makes sense. Polygon should be in the top 10 because we have explicit news that... Anyway... Polkadot is down by 6%. Shiba Inu is up by 2%. Tron is down by 5%. Solana's down by 19%. Avalanching is down by 3%. Anything else crazy? Ethereum Classic is up by 2%. Kronos, whatever you are, is down by... Did anyone buy... I'm thinking of getting it. The new God of War. I think it just came out like yesterday or something like that. I played the... Not the first part, but like the PS4 game, which was absolutely incredible. I was thinking of waiting like until the price fell, but it might not fall at all for like a very long time. VeChain Thor is down by 7%. Quant is down by 8.9%. Flow is down by 6%. Luna Classic is up by 14%. And Makers for some reason is up by 13% as well. So good job, Maker people. I do hope, there we go, that you've all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, commenting, subscribing, and or supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.